Since the gang is all here, why don't we call the meeting to order? That's 7:05 or thereabouts on today, which is the 23rd day of February. This is the Norfolk Board of Health, and we have a fairly short agenda this evening. We'll begin with the minutes of the last meeting. And will you be able to show them to us, Betsy?
You can't, I can pull them up. Oh, I could. No one else is working. Hold on one moment.
They were pretty brief.
They were.
All right, here we are. January 19th.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to pull them up and I can share the screen?
Give me a sec. I think I have them right here.
Okay.
Can you see them? You should have-
Yep.
Yes, we
They're there
can.
now. The only thing
All
I
right.
found was on the top of page 2, the last word of the first paragraph.
There's a she out there.
There's just a she.
See?
A disengaged she. Yes, there is that. Actually, I had a couple of other points. I hope this doesn't seem like nitpicking, Betsy especially. But actually in the very beginning of the minutes, and this front paragraph is always the same. As I read it maybe more carefully for some reason this time, I had the impression that maybe it'd be better from today and now on that first paragraph, which is right now all one sentence, be broken up a little bit. And moreover, if you take a look at the first line, you see where it says convened at 7 p.m. It kind of makes sense at right that point to say on January 19th, 2021. It's just kind of weird to give the time but not the date. So if we do that there, and then say as a virtual Zoom meeting, period, we could then have a whole second sentence, which is all about the governor's orders and the reasons why. And when that all gets done and you end up with the word emergency, comma, at that point, all you got to do is say the meeting was closed to the public to avoid group congregation and leave out all the other stuff that's there about 7 p.m. again in Norfolk Board of Health. It just reads a little cleaner, I think, if we do that. Because we already know where the Norfolk Board of Health, it says so in the first line. So there's redundancy in that last line that can go away. And I think it's understandable better what's going on there.
Okay.
So if you all agree,
That
I
sounds
can
fine.
send you these things, Betsy. You haven't got to bother to take all the notes right now if you don't want to.
No worries.
All right.
Either way, it's fine with
Okay.
me.
And then after that, I had another comment having to do with the first paragraph of the COVID-19 updates. The first paragraph is about the first responder vaccination clinic. And there in the second line, we have the date. And it seemed like at that point, we ought to have the location, but we don't. So could we include where as well as when?
You sure can.
That was over at the dispatch center, right?
Yeah, I was at the Norfolk Police Department.
Okay. Well, I think the official title, looked it up actually, is Metacomet Regional District or Dispatch Center, say on Sharon Ave, so people know what we're talking about. And then another thought that crossed my mind is, well, it's for first responders, but we don't actually say which towns were involved in that.
Mhm.
We talk about where the vaccine came from. It was Foxborough and Millis, but what towns' first responders were being vaccinated that day, I thought might be important information to include.
I can say the town of Norfolk first responders.
But it wasn't just us, was it? I thought it was other towns too.
No, it was just
No.
us.
Yeah, it was just us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was well, it's a multi-town event in some respects, but only us in terms of respond.
Mhm.
Only multi-town as far as ordering the vaccine, so.
Okay, all right. Um, And then later on in that paragraph, we say the town of Foxborough served as the dispensing site. Is that a medical term, meaning that they were the source?
Right, they're the
vaccine?
ones that ordered the vaccine and dispensed it to the other towns.
Because when you say site, it almost makes it seem like we're doing this in Foxborough, but in fact, we were here. Might we want to say simply the town of Foxborough provided most of the vaccine? That's kind of English that we understand.
Well, it really wasn't the town of, it was a multi-town order though, wasn't it?
It was in order to get the bunch of doses that we needed, a bunch of towns went in, but
Right.
Foxborough ordered it. So pretty much they ordered it. They ordered the vaccine.
All right, well, then we'll just leave it the way it is then. If it seems okay to you, Cheryl.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that because it made sense to me because it served as a dispensing site and distribution.
Okay, fine, all right. I think that, I think there's maybe one small word missing. On the second page, right below where she was, the next sentence says, Ms. Siegel moved continue. I think there should be a move to continue.
Yep, you're right. Yep.
And then the last really teeny thing is.
And also continue with, I'm sorry, but that sentence still doesn't make sense, right? Ms. Siegel moved to continue with current the school 14-day quarantine. So with
With-
the,
The current.
The
Yeah.
current.
Yeah. The
Yep,
is just in the wrong spot.
Thank you, Eileen.
well, if we're getting nitpicky, Tom, I'm good at it.
All right, we're on a roll now.
That's why they're sent to you to review. So.
And the last little nitpick, which is almost literally that, is in the sentence, the couple paragraphs down says, Mr. Gilbert replied, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. And then the words in the next sentence line are relaxed a bit. Can we just get rid of a bit? I mean, I'm sure I said a bit, but that's just kind of folksy terminology. It doesn't really belong in a minute.
Mhm.
We just say we relaxed. The policy will be relaxed if the data suggests it can be.
Got it.
So
Yep.
whether it's a big bit or a small bit, who cares? All right, so that's the end of my nits to pick.
Oh, no problem.
All right, so with those in mind, is there a motion to approve? As amended?
I move to approve the Board of Health, Norfolk, Massachusetts meeting minutes of January 19th, 2020,
As amended.
as amended.
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes are approved.
Thank you.
All right. After that on the agenda, we have 2020 Annual Town Report.
Betsy, I'll tackle it. I missed that in my email, so I'll tackle it tonight and I'll send it off to you.
I had done most of it, but I
Yeah.
just thought maybe just even like a little paragraph. I think COVID-19 should make the news.
Okay. I can write something up and I'll send it back to you.
Please get any suggestions.
All right. COVID updates. So shall we begin actually with KP and the various school districts?
Mhm.
And I think this relates back to the the minutes of the previous meeting and the issue around quarantining. Um, The way I think we left it, we were going to leave it at a 14-day quarantine unless the data suggested we could reduce it. I have the impression the districts already have.
They have.
Yes.
Yeah, I sent you that
Right.
information, maybe last week, maybe the week before.
So seeing as how it's already kind of a fait accompli, would it make sense for us to say, okay, it's a good idea
Mhm.
and go along with it? Because indeed the data does seem to suggest it. And in fact, if anybody's taken a look at the COVID update at Virtual Norfolk that was posted on Monday, I try to do a little bit of a different presentation of the data this time, and I actually use color-coded bars, vertical bars, so it's a bar chart rather than a connected dot chart. And so most of the previous bars are red because we were in the red zone in those days. But the last 3 or 4 are yellow because we graduated one level to yellow. And the only complication in that is that in the very beginning of November, the bars weren't that tall because the bars on the chart are actually just the ones in the Norfolk residents group and doesn't include the inmates.
Mm.
And it was during that time in November, especially, where there was this huge spike. And in fact, actually, I did a calculation between November through second week in January, there were an average of 40 new cases a week in MCI Norfolk,
Wow.
which means all those bars would have been off the top of the chart as presented in the town surveys. So that's the reason why it's going to be a little, I explain all that in what I posted, but that's the reason why, if you take a look at that chart, there's some small red lines, which don't make any sense. They should be green or yellow, but no, it's because of all the inmate cases that were folded in. Anyhow, it's certainly true that in the last month, the numbers have come down. Well, they've come down across the country and in the state, and indeed in Norfolk. Although frankly, they've come down by about a half, it seems to me, from our peak around the second week in January. And most of the country overall is down about 2/3. So we're not doing quite so well as I'd like to see. Now, there's a small number, so there's a lot of variability. But anyway, they're down. So I think there's some justification in the idea of going to the 10-day quarantine period. I think that is one where there is a 4-day after the 10-day observation period, but it's not a quarantine. Oh, there's the graph.
You guys can see it, right?
Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome.
So that's what the new graph looks like. And the explanation for how those first few red bars are red, not some other color, is located in the paragraph, one paragraph down from what you're looking at.
We're actually up on new cases this week.
Well, there's variability across the chart there. So, don't just use 2 points to start to see a trend. I think generally we're going in the right direction now. I wouldn't be surprised if next week we're going to see that number come back down again. If it doesn't, oh dear, well, we'll rethink this interpretation.
Well, this
right.
week is 2 weeks out from the Super Bowl, so.
I think that's it. Yeah, could be. All right.
Nice job with the graph, Tom.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to getting a couple of green bars up there sometime in the near future.
All right, maybe next week.
Well, to get down to be green, you've got to have an average of 2 weeks where that number is an 8 or an 8.5.
Oh, okay. No, we're not going to be.
We got a little ways to go yet.
Right, maybe next month.
Yeah. Okay. Other COVID issues. How about from your perspective, Betsy, have you been hit with anything?
No, actually not really. I know that, as you know, the 65 and older opened up last week, and the state online system went into a tailspin, I think.
I can confirm that. Having
Oh, so can my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
swirled down through the tailspin.
Yeah.
I think they're starting, I think they're probably starting to see a little relief, and I think people just have to be a little patient. And
Mhm.
so, but I do hear, I hear the whole Gillette Stadium is, everything's like run very smoothly, and people are, people
Yeah.
are very, the way it's being run.
I've had a few people who've had the experience at Gillette and they said it's just unbelievable. Although it's kind of like going to Disney. You know how you loop around in line and then you think you're going to be getting into the ride and then you loop around some more. And then, so they really have, but it moves fairly quickly. So.
Well, and didn't I hear on the news or read somewhere that that they were opening up another section of the Putnam Club so that
They
could-
did. So there's east and west. So because I go by there every day on the way back and forth from work,
Okay.
and now that there's instead of just being one place open, now they split them up. There's 2 parking areas, and so if you're west, you go toward the Putnam Center or
Mhm.
the theater, and then the east is on the other side. So they've got it in 2 different locations within Gillette, it looks like.
And they just opened one in the Natick Mall in the old Sears.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I think once the state system, the glitches are worked out, I think, people shouldn't have a problem getting a vaccine.
Any other COVID issues, anybody?
No, I was surprised, not that there's a COVID issue, but I was surprised that, isn't there like a mass maritime facility, like right at the Bourne Bridge, where they were using as a potential site to evacuate people for hurricanes if you couldn't cross the bridge? So people are trying to evacuate across the bridge, they couldn't go across the bridge, they would boot them over to MMA. I'm surprised that that facility isn't being used with all the issues that have been going on with people having problems getting vaccines from the Cape, especially with the elderly population down there. So I don't know what the response to that is. I haven't figured out why they're not using it, but that was just a thought that popped into my head. It seems like a viable location, but I do not work for the state.
Is that at the Mass Maritime Academy?
Yes.
Maybe it's because they have classes right now.
So
They have students. So, it's running as a full college right now and they are on site. They're not doing remote learning.
Okay.
So,
That would probably be the reason. All right.
yes, I know someone who's going to school at Mass Maritime. So he ended up going in February. So.
I think they've got a site set up at the Barnstable County Fairgrounds and Falmouth, I think. Is that what somebody told me? So I don't really know that much about it.
Well, I think a lot of places are challenged, in the inner cities challenged. So BMC has been working with a lot of the health centers and a lot of the churches, and they're running COVID vaccines for the patients in the inner cities. So people who can't travel anywhere, who can't travel down to Gillette or anything like that, and it's in the neighborhood.
Right.
In terms of other places besides Gillette, as I recall, the CVS over in Medfield is also a vaccination site. And sometimes, although I'm not sure if this is real or not, but sometimes when you read the website directions on where to go, they say that the major sites essentially get rescheduling going on a Thursday morning, but the other sites can do so on different schedules. I don't know if that's exactly true or not. I do know that no CVS store in Massachusetts, as far as I could tell, has any vaccine right now. Nor does Gillette. Although for a few moments today, there seemed to be an indication that there were several hundred doses available on the 28th of February at Gillette. That lasted about 2.5 minutes, and then it went down to 0 again.
Yeah, I'm on the CVS site. It says it's fully booked. Of course, they get, limited supply. Um,
Yeah. Are there any other sites nearby then? I mean, Gillette and Medfield are probably the two closest.
Yeah.
I don't know of
and
any.
then
Odd.
Nathan Mall.
Oh, there's the mall, yeah.
Yeah. There was some guy on Twitter that he's created some type of a bot that goes through and will give you a notification if there's open vaccine sites. It was on the news.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm sure somebody should be
Mhm.
capitalizing on this.
Yeah.
The smart people. I'm sure they should be.
anything else COVID related here? Not for now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Woody?
It was the mass military reservation.
Ah, okay.
So the joint base at Cape Cod, which is at the Bourne Bridge. I apologize, not the MMA. So yeah, and I think I just thought that was empty, but
Yeah.
just me. Sorry, because with some of the emergency and disaster preparedness stuff, that was one of the sites we were planning on setting up some kind of a shelter for animals should
Right.
people have to try to evacuate off the Cape. So MMR, not MMA.
Yeah.
Checking, Tom, I was just checking the availability of vaccine.
Let me know. I'll tell Gary.
It says no appointments found.
Well, yeah, if you find anything, just call Gary and me, all right?
Yeah, check in.
I'm expecting like July when I get available.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point.
I'm telling you, to hop on, start hopping on Thursday morning. And that's when I heard they roll up the appointments for the following week based upon the amount of vaccine that they're getting.
Well,
So
let's hope this Thursday is a better experience than last
Yeah.
Thursday was.
yeah, be patient. We'll get there. We'll get there. People are getting appointments. So, I don't know.
All right, well, we're not going to continue that conversation. It's too frustrating. So, anything
Sorry.
else, anybody? Old
Did we,
business?
I know, and Cheryl, you had been looking at the prep mod thing to see whether or not originally it had been possible as a community to do it ourselves. And that obviously,
Yeah, and I think it's challenging for to get on these sites. And I think when you've got the sites crashing and whatnot, so I think that's the big challenge. So
Well, now we can't get any vaccine.
right,
anyway, so it's
exactly.
pointless,
Yeah.
so
I mean, it took a little bit of heat off of us, but who knows? Maybe in the future, when more vaccine becomes available,
well, I think it's challenging if the town's going to do it. I mean, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the resources to do it. I mean, what you need to have to vaccinate a large population is huge.
No, I mean, we were able to do 60 doses of,
Mhm.
first responders, but that's really about all that we can handle.
I think this certainly shows the benefit of having regional public health as opposed to
Mhm.
individual public health.
Oh yeah.
So I think that maybe this will change how the state eventually, uses that information that they had put together, especially when Fran was on the Board of Health, in terms of putting together regional boards of health with more communities involved and more communities participating and paying into having a public health nurse that could, and more resources so that we could do something like this if we needed to, let's say,
Yeah,
for the annual COVID vaccines that we're going to have to get. So
I know. We'll be doing that with our annual flu clinics.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So, lessons learned. I think there's going to be a lot of lessons learned at many different levels.
Well, I think even just, how everybody works, the lessons learned, and how you can keep an economy going, the lessons learned, and how do you, infection control, type of deal. It's very interesting. I mean, we were talking today at work how nobody seems to have gotten a cold this year because everyone's wearing a mask.
Exactly. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Yep, my girlfriend was telling me that her grandchildren aren't sick because they can't put their fingers in their mouth or the fingers in their nose and
Yeah,
stuff. So
exactly.
nobody's gotten a cold. Yeah.
But then the question is, since we haven't been exposed to a cold, when we do finally get exposed to a cold, what's our response going to be? And
Yeah.
with the kids, are they going to build an immunity, or not wearing masks? So interesting question.
Hmm.
No.
We'll get the epidemiologists involved.
All right. Anything else? So-
Actually, is there anything on the Pondville site, the Southwood Pondville site?
We saw the PIP
Um,
request.
Yeah.
Not since, not since we had the community forum.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody attended that one? We had over 100 people.
Okay.
So, and that information is actually up on I think I put it up on the planning board website.
Okay.
So, and you got the information that I
Mhm.
sent you from Joanne Yatsuhashi,
Mhm.
some of the historical background. And the reason why she doesn't feel as though it's a appropriate site for residential
Mhm.
housing.
Is that mostly got to do with the medical waste and the oil contamination? Is that what the
A
worry
little
is?
bit of everything. She actually spoke with me. It's just how it was a self-contained area, and it wasn't just what's in the dump, that there were lots of things dumped there in different places. So that was her concern.
Mhm.
So now, did they actually purchase it? Did that company actually? Okay, so that went through. I know I've been off a little bit. So, okay, so.
It'd be interesting to see how things work out.
Mhm.
A lot of opinions from a lot of different players.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, it'd be nice for someone to clean up the site.
Mhm.
Well, certainly the sites, parts that we know are dirty need
Right.
to be cleaned.
Yeah.
And that's significant. I mean, there was the fuel oil spill, but then,
Mhm.
or heating oil spill,
Right.
but then there was also a pretty good sized dump
Yes.
back
That
in
had
the day, which
all the
was only
medical
that,
stuff
it was
and-
just a dump.
Yeah.
And, there are still needles and syringes
Mhm.
poking
out of the ground down there, or there were not that
Wow.
long ago. So yeah, it's got to get cleaned up.
Okay.
Uh,
Heard there were old vials of morphine there. I don't know how true that is.
Well, I mean, kudos to a company who's willing to purchase the property,
Right.
offer to clean it up, and
I agree.
make it a viable contribution to our community as well as our tax base.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Get it cleaned up.
That's all I'm going to say.
Agreed.
with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
We have
Yes.
to set our meeting schedule for next
Oh,
time.
that's true. We
Yeah,
have the whole
so-
year laid out here. Oh my God.
We decided the 4th.
Fourth Tuesday of the month. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I
I
appreciate
think
it.
I changed that. So whatever I've got on I think I had adjusted that on the
Mhm.
agenda.
Can we consider this to be a kind of an advisory set of dates? Because I have a suspicion sooner or later something's going to happen here. And one or more of us is going to say, well, I can't do that. But for right now, they seem fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if nobody's got anything else pressing on March 23rd.
I am good.
Awesome. Cheryl's got to go finish her town report for me.
I will go do that. March 23rd. I don't think I have anything on March 23rd. Nope. But then again, I can't go anywhere at night, so
Yeah.
it's just another Zoom meeting I usually have.
Hmm. Okay. Well, we'll see you all on the 23rd, if for whatever reason, not sooner.
Okay.
Actually, did y'all get a note about a meeting a couple of days from now?
The sewer.
Oh, the
Yes.
sewer,
About the,
um,
yes, center of town wastewater.
That's on Thursday.
Thursday night.
Were you planning to attend? Anybody?
My husband will be there,
Yes.
so I'll probably
Your
hear about
household
it.
is represented.
That's right. the household.
I am trying not to be there.
All right. Oh, I shall be, and there's at least 2 of us. Okay, all right then. Well, see you all soon.
Do we have to
one way or the other.
adjourn formally?
Sure.
So, is there a motion to adjourn?
This is motion to
I guess I've
adjourn.
been working this way for the last 20 minutes, but here's our motion to adjourn.
Are you, all right, I propose a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting February 23rd.
And I second that motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.